In today's video, I'm going to show you how to start trading on Hyperliquid in just a few simple steps. We will be starting by creating an account or linking a wallet. We will then deposit funds into the account. We will then look at moving funds around depending on what you want to do specifically on Hyperliquid. And we'll look at the different features available, different products such as spot, perps, staking, and a little more. And we will also touch on why Hyperliquid is currently getting so popular and if it's the right exchange for you to be using. Now, if you do enjoy this video and if it is helpful, please don't forget to drop a like down below. But without further ado, let's get into it. First of all, let's talk about Hyperliquid. Why is Hyperliquid special? Why would people want to trade there? And we're going to start with this history lesson from myself on X. I think this was around the end of 2023 when I put this original tweet out. So I basically explained how I was bullish on perp-based DEXs, but there was a clear gap in the market. Our company was receiving a lot of DEX, but they were all DEXs solving the same problem, and they didn't really have anything unique about them, nor any kind of edge. Now, the main problems with the existing DEXs at that time, going back around 18 months or so, is that they either didn't have enough pairings and or volume. Now, what I highlighted here in a more recent tweet, screenshotting this, is to me it's very clear that the DEX that creates a user-friendly onboarding process, so makes it as simple as possible for users, and has sufficient volume and liquidity on a high number of pairs ultimately wins. And this was something that a lot of these decentralized exchanges struggled to do. So who won? Well, 18 months later, the winner is Hyperliquid. And ironically, it was the team that bootstrapped and didn't raise any money. They funded it all themselves, and big lesson in there. So another tweet that I also put out after a OKX hack around 12 months ago was that I was bullish again on perp-based DEXs, and the first cross-chain perp DEX that had sufficient liquidity and volume will become a top 25 project. So that was 1 year ago, and here we are now with Hyperliquid currently sat at around 13th when it comes to all projects by market cap. So pretty good call from me there, because my conviction was so high on that winning DEX, that one that could take the number one spot and do it correctly, being so good. So moving forward now to the present day. Well, why Hyperliquid? Of course, so many different pairings, great liquidity for a DEX, and we've seen that more recently. Many of you may have seen this headline or people talking about it on X, but crypto whale James Wynn closes $1.2 billion Bitcoin position in 47 minutes, taking a $13 million loss. Now, people have been tracking these trades that James Wynn has been putting on in real time, and that is happening on Hyperliquid. We can see here from this tweet, he has an open position. Well, he doesn't now. He's actually closed it at the time of recording, but he did have a 1.1 billion position open on Hyperliquid. So that liquidity was there. That trade was possible on a decentralized exchange, which is big because if you've been around a few years, you will know that for the longest time, this was only possible on centralized exchanges. Okay, so enough yapping, let's get started with this simple tutorial. And step one is to create an account or linking up a wallet. Now, the beauty, of course, of a decentralized exchange is there is no KYC. You know, a lot of people in different countries these days are having problems with regulation, with KYC, with products not being available to them. And Hyperliquid does solve this issue for a lot of people out there, including myself. So the first thing you do when coming to Hyperliquid, and I will leave links down below in the description. The top one will be my referral link, which you don't have to use, but you will get 4% discounts on your trades, or you can just use the generic link that will be just below that one. So that will be the official link. Make sure you use it. You know, don't get phished, don't get scammed. You know, it's very common in crypto, so just be careful there. So links down below. So connecting a wallet, very simple as you would expect if you've used any kind of dApps or exchanges in the past. Top right hand corner, you click connect and you will see different options. Now, of course, you can log in with an email, but I think best practice, and for most people who are trading, who have been around in crypto for a minute, are going to look to connect a wallet. Now, the two that I look out for with any exchange immediately are MetaMask and Phantom. Phantom isn't available right now, not to say it won't be in the future, but for me, I'm going to be using MetaMask for the purpose of this video. And if you don't have a MetaMask account, if you're not sure what it is, that isn't the purpose of today's video. What I would recommend doing is going away, searching on YouTube how to create MetaMask account, blah, 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 and get up and running. But we're going to connect this wallet that I have labeled here as Shitcoin wallet. So the wallet is now connected. It really is that straightforward, and like I said, there's no KYC, there's no regulation involved, and that is it. You are now ready to start trading once you have funded the account. What I like about Hyperliquid here is that it actually gives you a couple of different ways of depositing funds on different chains. So there is no one size fits all here. Now I'm going to show a few different examples. Number one is probably the safest way of doing things because there's less room for mistakes, which is actually depositing, which, just to make it very clear, top right hand corner again, big deposit button, is to deposit USDC from Arbitrum. Now, because you've already connected the MetaMask wallet, you will have a Arbitrum chain on that MetaMask wallet, and if you have USDC already in that account, you will see it show up here, and you'll be able to click max and then click deposit, sign the transaction as you would with any kind of transaction, and those funds will then appear on Hyperliquid very shortly. Now, if you don't already have funds on Arbitrum, say you have your funds on the Ethereum chain, there is a different way to deposit, which we'll get into now. But one option as well, of course, is to use a bridge such as Jumper Exchange, where you'll be able to basically just select here, so Ethereum to Arbitrum USDC, select the amount. So say I want to send 1 ETH, it will then give me the different options of how I can send that Ethereum from the Ethereum chain to Arbitrum chain under USDC, and then you would review, accept it. I'm not going to do that now for the purpose of today's video, and then those funds would shortly appear in your Arbitrum wallet rather than your Ethereum wallet. So that's another option. However, if you just want to send some funds from Ethereum, this is kind of old school, very easy to do. Click Ethereum here. You'll see the deposit address, copy and paste it. I'll make it very, very clear though. There's a minimum amount of 0.05 ETH, so if it's any less, your funds are gone. And if you send anything else apart from Ethereum, so don't send USDC, I'll make it very clear again, do not send USDC to this address or your funds will be gone. You want to send Ethereum on the Ethereum network to this address. So just again as an example, copy and paste it back to MetaMask. I'll have to just change back to the Ethereum chain, click send to this address, and I'll just do 0.1 Ethereum for the purpose of this example, confirm, and that will be again funds showing up on Hyperliquid very shortly. Now the last example that we'll go through is another popular one, which is Solana. So going back again from the beginning, deposit on Solana. Now you have a Solana wallet rather than Ethereum wallet. And again, just read the important notice here. Minimum amount of 0.2 Sol, and it can only receive Sol. So same situation again. Don't send USDC, don't send USDT, don't send anything else apart from Solana, otherwise your funds will be gone. So copying and pasting that wallet, going over to Phantom, here's the wallet. Send some funds, send some Solana to this address. 0.2 is the minimum. Next, send, and those funds will be there very, very shortly. All right, so we have created a wallet. We are linked up to Hyperliquid, and we have now deposited some funds to Hyperliquid. So what comes next depends on what you are doing on Hyperliquid. So we'll go through a couple of different examples and move those funds around. Still on the same page, what we'll do now is go to the navigation bar and click on Portfolio. In here, you will see a lot of information about your funds, your positions, all that kind of stuff. But what we're going to look at now is down here, deposits and withdrawals. So what we'll see here is the three deposits that I just made. The first one on Arbitrum with the USDC. Next on Solana with the Solana that we deposited, and then the same again with Ethereum. Now, just one thing to keep in mind, Solana and Arbitrum are going to be a little bit quicker than Ethereum. So if you do deposit Ethereum and it doesn't show up immediately, don't panic. It can take some time. As we know, it isn't the fastest chain in the world. So the funds are in there. What do we do next? Well, like I said, it depends what we want to do. So if we are buying spot, if we are just spot trading or buying some long-term bags, whatever it may be, we're going to click on the trade button. And first of all, we're going to convert what we have just sent over to USDC. For me, I like to have all of my funds just in one token rather than having them spread around. So we're going to click on the spot option here. I'm going to click on ETH USDC. As we can see here, you have the option to, just like on any exchange, market buy, limit buys, or sells. And for the purpose of this, just to make it easy, we're going to put it onto the market. We can see the maximum amount of Ethereum there that I can sell to USDC, place the order, sell that, submitted, and done. So that is the Ethereum transferred into USDC. And then I'm also going to do the same for the Solana. So again, just on market to make it very easy. It's only a small amount, doesn't matter too much. Sell that. And then we've got all the funds in USDC. So we'll see down here the account equity. We have $300 in spot and then 3K in perps. Now that's because I've done previous deposits just to try things out on here with this account. But what we want to do now is make a decision. So if we are now just buying coins, and one thing to keep in mind is what is really good about Hyperliquid is they do have a number of different spot options that a lot of exchanges haven't listed. So Fartcoin being probably the most popular example right now. You'll be able to buy Fartcoin with your USDC. So you've got the $300 available. You want to buy a few Fartcoin, place the order, job done. I'm not going to do that for now because if you want to trade perps, which I can imagine a lot of people want to do, we need to go back to this portfolio page and we need to transfer these funds here, USDC spot, to perps. So you click that, select your amount again. I'm just doing it all to make it very easy. Confirm that, confirm in the wallet, and job done. We can see now that that USDC spot option has disappeared and the balance has increased for perps, and then you'll be able to go back to the trade option, change it from spot to perps, and then you've got all of those coins to trade. Most of them, like I said, with decent volume and liquidity. And lastly, step 4, we're just going to look at some of the features and products that Hyperliquid offer to their users. Now, we've already touched on spot and perp, a little bit there, but we'll just go into a bit more detail. Now, generally speaking, why do I like Hyperliquid as an exchange? It's simply because it's a very familiar UI. You know, if you've used centralized exchanges in the past to trade, it looks very familiar, it's easy to use, and that's a big help. Now, the one kind of downfall that I see right now is that they don't have an official mobile app. Now, if you're anything like me, you may like to manage some positions on the move, and it isn't really possible unless maybe you use, third-party applications, but I would much prefer for Hyperliquid to release an official mobile app in the near future. So when it comes to spot, like we said, we've done the example, very, very simple and straightforward. Great that they offer coins that sometimes you don't get on some centralized exchanges. When it comes to perps, and we'll just change this now to a perp pairing, so with Bitcoin, it's pretty much what you'd expect, cross an isolated margin, set your leverage. With Bitcoin, you can go up to 40x, market limit, the usual stuff. We won't go into that in too much detail right now, but again, just one thing to make clear is on perps, you'll see here that Fartcoin has a limit of 5x. So you can't be super degen with the meme coins. You can see here what leverage is offered. Bitcoin is the highest with 40x, Ethereum 25, Solana 20. I think it really does just kind of rein in the degenerates from going a little bit too crazy. This is a more, professional, decentralized exchange rather than just for complete degens. So yeah, Very, very straightforward UI in that respect. Now, what else do they offer apart from the trading? Well, you've got the vaults here, which is pretty cool. And of course, you can add your funds or create your own vaults, earn passive income, that kind of stuff. And it's the same here with the staking tab. You'll be able to stake any hype that you own. So if you are a long-term holder, if you don't plan to sell anytime soon, it could be a good option for you to stake your hype for a while, get a return on that. Just something to consider there. Not going to go into it in too much detail right now because the purpose is more around the trade. And then of course you've got your referrals tab. So like I said, if you do want to use my ref link down below, 4% discounts there. And then you've got leaderboards, which of course is just, I guess, more social for a bit of fun. So you can track wallets there. You can see what whales are doing. Like I said, it's all on a deck, so it's very transparent. You can see people's trades. It's all on the blockchain. That's what it's all about. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. Hopefully it was helpful. If it was, please don't forget to drop a like down below and also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more crypto content like this. Now, I do believe that the crypto space was crying out for a product like this for a long time, and I'm glad that somebody has finally come along and taken that #1 spot with a genuinely good product. I do think that Hyperliquid deserves the attention that it is getting right now. Like I said before, the only thing that I would ask for now at this point is a mobile app, because I know a lot of people like to trade on the go and don't want to be, glued to their screens at all times, just in case, they need to close a position or enter a position, whatever it may be. So yeah, hopefully you did enjoy the video. Don't forget to drop a like, and I will catch you in the next one.